Yeah, I know it. Hey, we're back. Welcome back, everybody. Another Tuesday night chat with the Muskrat and Mr. Creole catfishing. What's going on, my Cajun brother?
I'm just trying to survive another hot week down here in South Louisiana. It has been brutal, but we're surviving. We're surviving. We've got our eyes towards the fall, cooler weather, hopefully a hotter bite. It's kind of what we could be talking about tonight.
Well, we both know that I'm not allowed to talk about the heat.
No, you are not. No, just like I'm not allowed to complain that it's cold during the winter. I don't want to hear a word out of you about it being hot with like y'all 70-degree summers or whatever in the world it is.
Hey, it's been 90 something with 90 something % humidity. That's the part that gets you.
That's not too far from us. I ain't gonna lie. That's pretty good. That's pretty close.
It's sticky. It is sticky here.
Yep.
But we're surviving. And we were just talking about, last week having Stacey Gasson on, had an awesome show last week.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got some more cool stuff lined up for you guys tonight. But before we do that, we're going to say hello to some folks that tuning in with us. And then we got Nubby's Catfishing was first. Kelly Bullock was second. And 922 was third. In there, we also got Miss Becca Mudtramp. Thank you for stopping in. There's Jim Buckeye Catfishing. What's up, brother? Steve Ransom's in the house. Kentucky Redneck Outdoors. What's going on? There's Richard with Fishing and Freedom, Fishing by Faith. What's going on? There's Beep Uncle G. Oh, hey, Slips in the house. We got Chris and Telly with hooks and hammocks. They're screaming, it's hot.
It is definitely hot.
We got Fishizzles in the house. What's up, buddy? He's yelling Creole.
What's going on, buddy?
Yeah,
Mr. Livescope.
What's that?
I said Mr. Livescope there.
Mr. Livescope. That's it. Justin's Fishing Fetish. What's up, buddy? Thank you for stopping in. Annette's Catfishing, and that's in the house as well. Let's see. Chucky's in the house too. What's up, Chucky? We had some good live fishing. Sunday night, going into Monday. Took my brother out, and he doesn't get to get out and do a whole lot of fishing on the river. Now he does do a lot of fishing, like on Paint Creek and local waters and stuff around here. And he loves to fish, and I think he's always got the fishing rods in the car, so he's willing to wet a line just about anywhere.
Yeah,
but I was on a mission to try to find him a decent fish, and we managed to do that with 20, I think it was 20 pounds, 20.26 pounds, I believe, was his first fish. And that was his standing biggest fish of his life until this guy showed up. Boom.
Yeah.
47-pound pig for the Ohio. Now, I know 47 pounds ain't a real big monster in some parts of the world, but around here, that's a good fish. And
47 is a nice fish everywhere. I'll tell you right now, that is nice everywhere. It doesn't matter where you fish at.
So we caught a few good fish that night. We kept it busy, but he was super proud and pumped to get a decent fish under his belt. So I was super proud to put my brother on a good fish. So, but we'll get back out there and get that crack-a-lacking soon. But we were talking about, why that spot was good, or why we decided to pick that spot. And it really just come down to following the bait. There was a lot of bait in the area. There was an area that is typical for holding decent bait. And, we went down through there. I found the thickest area of bait that I could find, and we just set up on it and started casting rods. And it wasn't a real hot bite. You guys that were there seen, we got a few here and there, and got a couple in the 20s. And then this guy showed up. And then, like an hour or two later, man, the bite just dropped off on us, and we struggled. We managed to catch fish. A few fish here and there. We fish and all that. But what's Justin saying? I think starting to think Roger doesn't like me. What in the world?
Oh, what did you do? What did you do, Roger? What'd you do?
I don't know. I guess because I took Tim out fishing. He's been wanting to go.
Well, you're not allowed to take anybody else fishing except Justin. I mean, we all know that. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules.
Well, here's the thing. I take Justin. Don't get me wrong. I take Justin, but it seems like whenever I take Justin, we just don't get on the good fish.
There could be something to that, because look, I'm pretty good at catching fish, but one of the few times I skunk is when he came down and fished with me. So there may be something to that. I'm maybe thinking about this.
So Justin, I don't know what we got to do to break this curse, but
because he did come at a horrible time of year. That definitely was not his fault.
We got Big Wrench in the house. What's up, buddy? Sean T's in the house. Said his PB is, I thought he said 19.
It is way too low. That is unacceptable in my boat. That is unacceptable. We got to fix that. I was going to
say, how can you have a friend like that and let him live with that? Size Matters got the Muskrat sticker. Appreciate it, man. No problem. So let's see. I'm trying to make sure I got it. We got Lance McCoo guys in the house. We got Jeff Lowry. What's up, Jeff?
JG Hill. I don't know if we called him yet.
I did not. We got Kevin and Palmetto Cats. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Palmetto?
So tonight we was talking about what we're going to get into tonight and kind of get back to our roots a little bit as far as what we like to do. And one of the things that we like to do is bust out the old Navionics and Google Earth and do some, well, I won't say we. Jeremy likes to get the doodle pad out and help us connect the dots.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about, how fish relate to structure and cover.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we all hear people talk about wing dikes and scour holes and ledges and things like that. And you may be able to find those things. But the next question is, I found a wing dike. It has a scour hole or it has, a back eddy to it. Now, how in the world do I fish it? What do I do next? And so that's kind of where we're going to go tonight, is we're going to kind of dive in a little bit on how to approach certain types of structure and scenarios and, different setups to put the odds in your favor. A lot of this will have to do a lot with time of year and, location, but it can all be used pretty much just about anywhere. You may not have a wing dike in your area, but you may have a point that sticks out, a big hump that comes out off the bank, a hill or something that runs down, a sandbar created by a creek. So there's all these different things that can also relate regardless of your water. And so we're going to get into that. We got Danny Stones in the house, and Miss Paula Smith has joined us. What's going on, Paula?
What's going on, Paula?
Jeff says, nice toad, your brother. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate that. I'm sure he'll get to see this. He might be working tonight, but he typically watches these after the fact. So I'm sure he'll appreciate all the thumbs up and the positive vibes, because he's still pretty pumped up about it. Anchor on the opposite side above the point and fish the point. Let me get that. Anchor on the top side above the point and fish the front flat and the hole. There you go. Uncle Lou knows all about these wing dikes and how to set up on them. Now, I don't have hardly any experience at all with wing dikes. We managed to run into a few. We didn't run into them, luckily, but on our trip to Mississippi with the Fishing for Freedom events that we've done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But so my experience there is slim to none. Hey, real quick, sorry. Harley Neal's in the house. What's up, my brother? Harley Neal's in the house. Mr. Kevin Walters is up. What's up, catfishing brothers and sisters? Actually, Kevin with the Monster Cat Catfishing will be our guest next week. He's got a big tournament coming up for Ohio tri-state area. So if you're interested in that, be sure to tune in next week. This is a big tournament, a big deal, and it has started to blow up. So you definitely want to be a part of this, and make sure you tune in next week as we dive deep into that. So, Jeremy, first of all, for folks that may not know, what is a wing dike? What is it?
A wing dike, very simple, is a rock structure, man-made. It consists of a long, narrow pile of rocks that starts at the bank and sticks out perpendicular straight at a 90-degree angle to the bank and sticks out straight towards the main channel of the river. The idea of a wing dam is to prevent washing and erosion damage to the bank and help channel some of that current and keep it in the main channel rather it, scouring out, going in the banks and eating banks up. But that is the definition of one. Now, to show y'all one shouldn't be very hard to find. Let me zoom in on my screen here first, and I will share it. But I've got some here that I can show y'all. I just got to get them up on screen real quick. There we go. Okay. This is a little stretch of river close to where I fish. And I know for a fact it's got some wing dams on it, but naturally this picture here, they are underwater, but that's okay. We're just going to back the image up till I can see them. There they are.
What he means by back the image up is on his Google Earth, he's able to go back the timeline and continue looking at this same piece of area until he finds a timeline that caught a low water that this wing dike is sticking out. You all can see it.
Yep. Now I'm going to zoom in on this one in particular because there's a lot of this image was taken in a very, very low river situation, similar to what we have right now. And you can actually physically see above the water some of the things that go on with these wing dams. But this is what a wing dam looks like, just like this. And this is the rock structure that sticks out from the bank right here. Okay, yep. Nice big, almost like a rock levee in a way. It just sticks straight out into the main channel. And if you look really carefully, you can actually see that current peeling off of it right here. You can see the current seam coming off this thing. The wing dam is doing its job. It's taking this current, all from this area, and compresses it right off of that tip right there, and it throws that current back out of the main channel. And what you're going to see, and this is typical of any wing dam that's in current, regardless of what state you're in, what river you're in, they're all going to do the same thing. You're all going to see the same things. The first thing you're going to see, now you may physically see it like we are here, or it may be under the water, but you're going to have an area of buildup in front of the wing dam that looks very similar to this. Okay. And naturally the water is going to be deeper just behind it. But as you go out towards the tip, that water is going to get deeper and deeper and deeper until you get right here off that point. That's going to be just about your deepest spot of the whole structure right there, whether it be however deep your river is. Like in this case, I'm very familiar with this wing dam. It's about 70 feet right off in this hole behind that wingtip. Average depth in the main channel in this area is about 40. So it's almost double because of the fast currents. But again, you're going to see this current seam sticking out. Right. And eventually, as it goes down the bank, you notice there's this big cut in on the bank behind this wing dam. That's because some of this current is doing this and wrapping around, and you can actually see it in the muddy water here. You can see that circular eddy motion that's going on right here, and you're always going to have some type of sandbar back off the opposite side here. So you've got, if you like to fish, if you are a shallow water fisherman, well then guess what? This sandbar right here on this back side where this back current is actually reversed and going back up, great spot to be. If you're like me and you like the deep water, then you want to be right off the edge right there. And that is the front of the scour hole. And pretty much every hole that I've ever seen off the end of a wing dam is shaped about the same way. It's shaped kind of like a football. You're going to have the point of the football here. As you go down current, it's going to widen out. Your deepest part is going to be right here at the point. It's going to widen out. And then as the football kind of the scour hole kind of closes back up, it's going to get shallower and shallower. And eventually, as you get to about back here somewhere, you're pretty much flat with the main channel again. You're at the ledge at that point. There's no real scour hole left.
There you go.
But in any wing dam you see on any river that has current, you're going to see the same things. Now, depending on the speed of the current, depends on how drastic these features are going to be. In a lower current river, such as probably the Ohio River, I would say this scour hole may not be 10, 12, maybe 15 feet deeper than the rest of the river, because it doesn't see that massive amount of current all the time. Right here, this river, average, it sees 4 to 6 mile an hour currents. That's why the scour hole is bigger and almost double the depth of the main channel. You've got all that power carving it out. Yep.
Yeah. Uncle Lou saying the inside seam is a great place to catch bait as well.
It is. Absolutely it is.
Jerry's in the house as well. Welcome, Jerry. Says the upper side of wing dikes during high water can be phenomenal fishing due to eddy formed from hitting the dike.
Yep.
So,
yep. And what he's talking about is, especially in the higher water situations where water is actually flowing over this dam and you can't physically see it anymore, it actually underwater, it actually makes like a whirlpool effect, like a tumbling effect right at the front edge of this wing dam here. And it does make an eddy right here out in front, which is why you see the buildup here, but not over here. It's a little deeper. You can actually see that on this picture. And where Jerry's talking about is, and if you look really, really close, you can still see a little bit of that effect right here. You can actually see it a little bit in the water. It's very small. It's a very tight area, but it is there.
There you go. Hey, real quick, say thank you to Size Matters for joining a new member with us over here. So appreciate that. Kevin Waters says Mississippi is on his bucket list for places to fish.
Mine too.
Well, you got just a couple more days before you can get on the water.
Yeah. Oh, well, hopefully it ain't pouring down rain again.
Stan's in the house. Welcome to Stan. If you're having a problem finding bait, check the sand flats up at the edge of the hole. So
yep.
That the reason I'm so intrigued about wing dikes is, well, because we really don't have them here. We do have, like I said, some features that represent close to that. Actually got some big rock formations that come out into the water that are set up for boat docks and things like that. You know, people who have, you know, big docks along the edge of the river, and they've got these big, you know, rock walls that come out, and we actually fish mostly in the wintertime when the boat docks are pulled out and the boats are gone. We'll fish off the edge of those and caught some pretty good fish off the ends of them. But you know, we don't generally have that here. So
I'm making me a little drawing off to the side here while we're waiting.
Oh, you're fine.
You know how I get when I start drawing things.
Looks like Roger got that Harbor Freight internet. I don't know what's going on with this thing. I even dropped my video quality down tonight to see if they can help with my connection. Looks like I might have to move my router closer or move my computer closer to the router. Either way. Hey, Jim, James Bailey's in the house. What's going on? Thank you for stopping in. The sand flats late at night can be killer once fish start coming shallow looking for prey. Yeah, I like shallow sand flats just about any time, well, at nighttime anyway, throughout the year. That's kind of what we were targeting the other night. We were set up where the bankside was shallow sand. It has a lot of up and down whoop-de-doos is what we call them, you know, goes, you know, high peaks and valleys, but the bait stacks up in there. And we didn't have a whole lot of current, but the bait still hangs to that real sandy bank. And where we were set at, the fish are coming out of the channel and making their way over, and they'll hunt them, you know, shallow flats and hunt that sandy bank at night. And we're just in, you know, we were set up to intercept them coming and going.
Let's see. Hang on, mine and now mine is acting funny. Go figure. It's always got to be okay. Here we go. All right. Now, are we ready for some drawings? Are we ready?
Oh, we love drawings.
Okay. Now,
yeah, Harley,
like I said, I showed y'all. Yeah. Showed y'all on Google Earth overhead view of what it looks like. Now, again, do not laugh at my drawing. Okay, I don't do this for a living, but show y'all a little drawing of kind of what we talked about and what the scour hole is going to look like. And let's see. Let me get this going here. Come on. There we go. There we go.
There it is.
Okay, so we got our riverbank in brown. We've got our wing dam sticking out over here in dark gray. Then, of course, if you hadn't caught on to that one, we got the blue arrows showing exactly what the current is doing and how it kind of compresses the current around the tip of this wing dam here. Now, the blue dotted line is on average a representation of what I see with the current seams. And this big red football-shaped hole here is pretty typical to what I see as far as scour holes off the tip of those wing dams. Now, a lot of what we wanted to talk about tonight is, now keep in mind that, especially in my area, this big football-shaped hole here, sometimes this could be 100 yards. This could be a pretty big area. You're talking about something maybe a couple of 100 feet long. This could be, 75 feet wide, depending on, size of the river, speed of the current, the size of the wing dam makes a difference. The longer the wing dam is, the more aggressive the scour hole is going to be because it pulls more water. Width. Exactly. You're displacing more water. So, of course, it's going to be a more drastic feature, right? Now, you pull up on this.
Thank you, Uncle.
And this is what you expect to see. But here's the key. Where are the fish? This little theory, I like to call it the dinner table. This whole big area is a dinner table. But when you're talking about big fish, now, any body of water, we're talking about the big fish that swims in your body of water. If a 20-pounder is your big fish in that body of water, that's what we're talking about. If we're talking about the next world record, well, then that's your big fish. But either way, the upper 1% of the size of fish in your water. Okay. So I just got to bring that up, right?
Yeah.
So that's all right. My theory, and I've got a lot of, monster chasers that agree with me on this one. And Epic is kind of the one that got me going this way.
Right.
I like to call it the head of the table. The big boy is going to be at the head of the table. He is the biggest in that area. He's going to be in the optimum feeding location. Right. Okay. He's going to be at the head of that table and everybody else gets seconds. That's just how it is when you're the big boy in the area.
He gets the big piece of chicken.
Exactly. He gets to eat first. Now, of all of that, where is the head of the table in all of this area? Very simply, the head of that table is going to be right there. Right there. That very front part of that hole. Because what you're going to see at that hole, you're going to see a drastic drop off. It's going to, it's this tank. It's going to have a ledge. It's going to drop off really sharp. Right where that ledge drops off, right where the current seam goes over the top, where all these things come together in that one little spot. You've now compressed possibly a football field, probably down to an area the size of the room that I'm in right now. Okay. Right. That's the head of the table. That is going to be that optimum spot. If there are any fish in it, any big fish, that's most likely where if they're active, let me throw that in there. If they're actively feeding, that is most likely where they're going to be right there. Now, river conditions, whether it's a rise, a fall, what's going on, that could change their position just a little. A good secondary spot that Jerry talked about is this small eddy that forms right here in front of it. So you've got kind of a secondary spot right there inside of the tip, right there where that water likes to swirl. So now you've taken this big area, and now you've condensed it down to 2 spots, probably the size of a boat. Now you can specifically really throw baits on them fish accurately and probably expect to get a bite. Because if the big boys are there, that's the spot within the spot. I know we've had guests in the past that preach that, but that is exactly what they're talking about. This is the spot, and these little yellow circles here are the spot within the spot. You better believe when I'm passing these areas, that is exactly where I'm going to be really hyper focused on right there.
So Becca wants to know, is it always at the underside of the flow that they'll be?
They want to be as far forward in that hole as they can be, facing the current.
Yep.
Because the current, yes. The current is just blowing all this bait in this hole. All this is getting compressed. Any bait is just getting fed in right there. That is the front of the buffet line right there.
That's it.
And the big boys get to go first. As simple as that. They're going to go first.
So in this scenario here that you've drawn out, is this wing dam or wing dike, is it above water, below water, or does it make a difference?
Me personally, I feel that little sweet spot right there is good no matter what. But I find that when the water is not passing over this wing dam, it compresses this down just that much more. Now when you've got water coming over this thing, okay, we can actually kind of represent that just a little bit. Let's just say you do have water that's just completely coming over it. You've still got water that's going to come around. Only a small percentage of the water is going to fall over. But what that sets up is now this sweet spot tends to elongate a little bit. It starts doing this because now you've got this water falling here. You've got bait that's getting dropped here and here and here. So this sweet spot tends to extend towards the bank some because you've got water coming over the top now.
Okay. Yeah, and that's exactly what I was alluding to, is because what little bit of experience or knowledge I have with the wing dikes is that if I've got water flowing over it, getting the back of my boat to sit right at the top of the wing dike, if I can get it, safely there, and throwing directly behind it.
That is very true, Uncle Lou, in most rivers. I've heard that from a lot of people. In fact, I know Jerry Parker has that same theory that not all wing dikes are created equal. Usually you don't see just one. Normally you see them in a series, and depending on what's going on with the river, the fish may congregate at one versus another, depending on what's going on. I would say the only thing that would interrupt that theory is if somehow you've got some kind of creek or something coming into the main channel in between there somewhere. If you've got a creek coming in, then the nearest one to that creek, probably on the downstream side, is going to all of a sudden be a very, very, very good one. But yes, that is a very true statement right there.
A couple folks tuning in here. We got Catfish and Crappie Mark. What's going on, buddy? James, Patriot. What's up, buddy? I need to get a hold of you. I really wanted to use a couple of ghost floats the other night when we were suspend drifting in the dark. I put my lightning bugs on top of my planer boards. We used to spin drifting planer boards in the dark.
Oh man, that's challenging.
Yeah, but I was like, man, if I had a ghost float with me, I didn't have any. If I had a ghost float with me, I would have ran, because we didn't have a lot of flow, but I could have ran one downriver ahead of us. And because I feel like it felt like the bites we were getting were better. Just like when I was fishing with J-Dog Air a week before last, all but I think one fish came off the planer boards, and so I want to get the bait away from the boat. And so even though a ghost float will float directly downstream, it's still going to be ahead of the boat. It's going to be away from the boat. It'll be the first opportunity to get bit.
Becca, yes, absolutely. You are. I mean, as long as you're off of the bank on public land. Don't get me wrong. I don't know of any wing dams that are on private land because they're in the river. But not only, yes, are you allowed to do it? I'll say a lot of times when you see Jerry Parker fishing, that's exactly what he has done. He's walked out on that wing dam and he's fishing right on the tip of it. I know that's one of his favorite spots to be. And I see a lot of that around home here. When that water goes down, absolutely. If it's safe, I will put that disclaimer. They're not all created equal. Some of them are built with bigger rocks than others. The ones around here, they're built with really, really big rocks. You'd have a harder time walking on them. But yes, it's absolutely legal to do that.
Yeah, if I didn't have a boat, that would be. I'm sorry, but that would be the number one thing I would target as ways to get out into the water system off the bank. Now, there's a lot of great fishing on the bank. Don't get me wrong. If you read your Navionics and do some studying on it, there are places that you can access from the bank that that could be better than fishing from the boat. We've all seen that scenario where the guy on the bank is casting just as far as he possibly can out towards the middle of the water, but the guy in the boat is fishing closest to the bank that he can possibly can.
Oh yeah, always.
So there are lots of opportunities, but I believe that if I was stuck on foot bank fishing, wing dikes would be top of my list if I had any available.
Yeah, and I will say this. I'll go into surveyor mode for just a second here.
What's up, Ed Evans?
Anything, it does not matter what it is. Anything that is within the banks of a navigable body of water cannot be private land. It is public land. If it is a navigable body of water, if it's within the banks, it's public. Now, you may have to cross private land to get to it. There's that. But if it's in the banks, it's public.
That's it. So you hear people, talking about trespassing and whatnot, but if you're on the water, nobody can own the water. So
no. The only exception to that rule is if it's considered a non-navigable body of water, then landowners can own inside the water. We do have that situation here with borrow pits. Big, long borrow pits they used back in the 30s to build the levees. They're not considered navigable bodies of water. Landowners can put fences across them, do whatever they want. It's considered private
land. Harley Neal says, if anyone is telling you to get out, ta-da, Karen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But hey, look, a lot of people don't understand that. They think if they own the pasture up on the hill outside the bank, they think they own everything down all the way to the middle of that river, and that's just that's not the case. It's just not. Understanding the law for everybody is always a smart thing to do.
Jerry's got one better. If anyone gives you any crap, Sparta kick them.
I can see Jerry doing that. I really can. Like, I've got a good visual of that in my head.
Yeah, I just did that voice and everything just now.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I pictured Jerry like in the little outfit. Oh, never mind. We're not getting off in that. Okay, so
there you go. JG Hill says Jerry's got a great video of him catching giant fish off of wing dikes. Yeah, and we know that Jerry has a lot of success targeting these wing dikes, and for good reason. They create a lot of opportunity for not only for feeding fish but bait fish as well. So. Hey, Binks in the house. What's up, buddy? Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you being here. There's Fishing with the Squirrel. What's up, buddy? We're talking about so far we've been talking about wing dikes, and to be honest with you, there's just so much that goes on with a wing dike that I for one don't understand, and the questions in chat help me believe that I'm not alone. So do you find that wing dikes have a greater success rate in different times of the year as opposed to others, as opposed to like winter, fall, spring, summer? I know it's all pretty much related to the flow.
I think there's both what's going on. I would say, considering flow is pretty equal, I will say yes. I think wing dams have their time and place. In my experience, wing dams are not a cold water spot. At least they aren't for me. You know, cold water for me means really deep scour holes, you know, off of some points on the bank, you know, something like that. Yeah, see, Jared's with me on that. Yeah, but because during the winter is when we get a lot of flow, especially winter, early spring, we get a lot of that snowfall, snow melt coming down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I don't spend a big percentage of my time fishing wind dams. I do it some. I don't do it all the time. But I would think the warm weather times of the year, that seems to be when those wing dams produce fish.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that way once I asked the question, because like around here, once the flow gets really slow, the fish basically target wherever there is flow. That's where they're going to be. So I was, once I asked the question, I thought, well, in low current situations, these wing dams are going to be producing a lot of flow. You're going to have current at the tips of all of these.
Yep.
And so I guess that makes perfect sense. That
it could be, like I said, if you're in a low flow situation, it could be one of the only spots where you could really go find a really visible current sink.
Right.
There may not be enough flow to produce some elsewhere, and just may not be.
Good question.
Oh,
you had.
I think we clicked on it at the same time.
She's got a good question.
Yeah, there it is. That depends a lot on if the water is flowing over them or not. I'll say this, on average in my area, when the water is really fast, really flowing, and got all kinds of debris in it, normally that's the time of the year where the water's passing over them anyway.
Right.
But what'll tend to happen is, yes, you will get some debris that's going to tend to kind of want to scoot around the edge of the wing dam some. A lot of times I find it gets trapped in that eddy, either just in front of the wing dam, or if you're set up on the tip, all that debris will be kind of circling in that slack water kind of way behind you. Right on the tip of the wing dam, you won't see a whole lot. A lot of trash and debris right there on that point. You'll see it in front of it, and you'll see it way behind it where the current is swirling.
It looks like you answered Stan's question as fast as he could type it. JG Hill wants to know if you think as the fish are conserving energy in the winter of cold water.
Yes. Oh, absolutely they are.
Yep. So, just like humans, calories in and calories out is how they survive. And so when they can take in, that's why we talk about the man's opportunist, why that fish wants to be at the front of the hole, because that's the highest percentage of flow and the highest percentage of opportunity for bait. Like, he has to exert the least amount of energy to stay right there and just grab, what he wants to eat as it comes by. We've talked to like Epic and things like that about, especially big flatheads laying there with their bottom lip. I mean, just placed up on the lip of the hole, and they're just like a vacuum. As soon as something comes over, they just open their mouth and it's gone. They don't even have to move their body. They can continue to take on food.
Yep.
So I think a lot of it has to do with conserving, calories.
Oh, yeah. Well, eating with the less effort possible is the ticket to survival. And apparently it's the ticket to my weekends when I'm not fishing too. Yeah, just eat with the less energy exerted as possible. That's like my plan for the weekend, right?
That sounds like a good weekend.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good weekend right there. Okay, now I'm going to share a screen here to kind of talk about what Richard is talking about. It's not a situation that I fish a whole bunch because I'm still trying to figure out myself. But when he's talking about a closure dam, okay, and Richard, I believe yours look a lot like what mine do here. This is what he's talking about. This is the main channel, Mississippi, right here. And I'm using the same picture in a low water situation because that's the only time I ever see these things above water. But what he's talking about here is there's these big islands out here in the middle, And at some times of the year, this is a secondary channel that wraps around this island that also has current in it. It's diminished because basically what you got is this long, you can almost call it a wing dam, but it's a trail dike or a closure dam, however you want to call it, that's actually closing off this whole area and is not a lot. And again, it keeps the main channel current in the main channel. You know, a lot of this is for sediment control to keep the sand from building up in the main channel, keep all the current in the main channel. So you've got these big closure dams that they build to try to prevent all this current from being diverted off into these secondary channels. Now, in my area, I can say this, I don't know if I'll be able to see these on my map or not. I know where they are, but I can't see them. But what the Corps will do a lot, they'll put in what's called fish dips, which this line of rocks is not a flat line of rocks. Every now and then, there'll be literally a gap in the rocks. Might be, usually on average, they're 20, 30 feet wide. And I'm almost positive that's one right here, right where my mouse is, right there. I'm almost positive that's one of the fish dips. And it's exactly what it is. It's still in a low water situation. It's allowing the fish to pass through this and come and get in this water. I would say that if you've got a situation where this is shallower water and you've got bait fish back here, I would say these fish dips, if you know where they are, would be excellent spots to set up and spend some time, because you're going to have some fish that are coming in and out of these as travel routes, coming in that whole back area to feed. Now, what Richard has in his area that I don't think I do, I think they have some rocks on the backside here to completely close these islands off. We do not. These are open on the backside. I can take my boat and come in here and go all the way up if I want to. I just have to be aware of where those fish dips are on the upstream side.
Yeah, so the purpose of this is to maintain a clear channels to allow navigation for your barges and commercial work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to be honest with you,
that's tell how big the whole area is, because if I'm starting to zoom in, look how big that barge is. That is a 5 wide barge tow in that picture. That's a massive barge tow right there, and you can tell how small it actually looks on the picture. So it's a big area that I'm talking about here.
Oh yeah. There you go. Jerry wants to know what's your guys' strategic strategy for anchoring below dams releasing water. And I've got my 2 cents, but I'll let Jeremy go if he wants to go, and then I'll give you mine.
Mine is very, very, very simple, and I'm pretty sure all dams are kind of made that way. They're going to have heavy revetment or some type of bottom feature to prevent erosion. They're going to have it for a certain distance sticking out from that dam. In my experience, right where they stop putting the revetment and it begins a natural bottom, you're going to have a drop off, because it's scouring it right where those rocks stop. Yep. That is one of my all-time best producing spots, and I fish it the exact same way I would do any drop off. I'm going to set up my boat just forward of the peak of that drop off. And I'm going to put baits down, and I'm going to place them at different depths on that drop off all the way down to the toe of it. That's probably one of my number one fish producing spots that I have, is that exact situation. And I know most dams are made the same. That is an awesome, awesome situation for me. And what I have found, that drop off is going to go all the way across from bank to bank. It may be a little deeper on one side or the other, but it's going to go all the way across. In my experience, you're going to have a group of fish, and they're going to just work their way back and forth, left and right, left and right. You may hit a bite for a little while, then it'll stop. Well, the fish moved over. Well, then they're going to come back. They're just going to patrol the base of that ledge back and forth, just seeing where bait is coming up. It is an awesome spot, especially if you're willing to spend some time it is a great place to set up.
Yep, and that is spot on with you're going to have man-made structure for so far, and it, like Jeremy said, it's usually a direct line straight across where the man-made structure ends and the natural riverbed begins.
Yep.
One of the things that we like to do is try to spot lock, and at a dam it could be very difficult to spot lock because of the flow. But what we look for is there will be spots in the water where water's coming out of certain gates. Like for here, we have hydros, right? And I know lots of the Tennessee has hydros. So you'll have water coming out of a hydro, and it most likely will be coming out at an angle. It's off to one side or the other. It's producing a lot of flow, so it's not going to go straight, right? It's going to cut across one way or the other. It depends on what side of the bank the hydro's on. You're also going to have flow coming from the dam. So now you have two waters coming across and merging in one area. Before they merge, there'll be sections of water that is almost completely calm, that you can watch foam will sit on that. You can watch a log or a basketball can stay there all day. Those are the spots that we like to try to spot lock in. We try to find those slick spots that are really calm and have little to no current, and we will spot lock in it. We'll use a jog feature, because if you sit in a completely dead, your boat can spin around circles. So we will jog just left or right until we get just enough flow to keep our boat straight, and then we will start dropping baits from there. We'll drop some close and some far, depending on what the situation is, to try to stay either in that calm water, because you got to think about your bait. It don't want to be out there swimming at that gale force, 10-mile-an-hour flow. If they find that calm pocket, they're going to congregate there and stack up. And your bait and your big fish are going to target those calm spots because they're loaded with bait. And that's where we want to be with our bait, is sitting there in those calm spots. But we all know that especially big blues do not care about how much flow there is. You can throw your bait out in the roughest of flow and still get, still catch good fish. So we will kind of stagger the bait between the slower current, the faster current, and go from there. In our situation, we actually have reverse current most of the time. Half the river will be going one way. There's so much water coming out that it'll turn and try to come back, and we'll have reverse current. So sometimes some of our lines are going downriver and some of our lines are going upriver, depending on who's on which side of the boat. So I don't know if
it just kind of depends on kind of what you got in that situation. I'm making me another little drawing here. I promised I'd draw some stuff tonight.
We got drawings.
This one won't take long. But this is kind of a situation I think that a lot of people see. And I know because our current's usually so fast that I have a hard time spot locking anywhere. I've got to find a spot that my boat can sit and be happy. But this little situation I've got right here, if you can find that sweet spot area, it'll definitely help y'all out. Let's see if I can share this really, really quickly.
I'm going to add a safety tip to this conversation real quick.
Yeah. And now keep in mind, this is not to scale. I don't want anybody this close to their hydro. I'm just throwing that out there now. But, what Roger's talking about is some gates will be open and some won't. We see that a lot in our area. But what'll happen if you can kind of line yourself up with one of the ones that is not open, what'll happen, you're going to have a current seam they're going to want to join up, just like I have these arrows going right here. Yep. I find personally, if I can get the back of my boat just either right at or just barely a few feet upstream of the spot where those two current seams meet, not only am I in pretty calm water right here, but those two current seams basically hitting the back corners of my boat keeps it pretty dang straight.
Yeah.
And you might not be able to find that situation just anywhere. And you may have to, let's say, like Roger said, jog around a little bit and keep yourself there. But if you can find that situation, it'll do a good job of keeping your boat from wanting to turn all kinds of crazy directions.
Now, there are situations where you're just not going to be able to spot lock at all, right? Yeah. The flow is just too great, and your trolling motor's not going to keep up, and you're going to have to use an anchor. And what I want to add, that
is one way to fix that problem.
That's it right there. That's one of my favorite ways to fix it too. make sure that if you are using an anchor up there, you got a buoy ball, right?
Yeah.
You find yourself in a situation that you need to get out of there, or as we talked to Stacy Gaston last week, talking about hooking in a big fish right at the dam. Throw that rope overboard. Your anchor buoy ball is going to keep your anchor, going to keep your rope. You go get your fish and come back and get your anchor when it's safe. Or you've landed the fish, whichever the case may be. But I know I've preached the anchor buoy ball. I don't know how many times we've talked about it, but it is a huge safety device to have on your boat if you're fishing current.
Absolutely. Yep.
Especially
it saves the lower back too.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It does.
Yeah. It's a dandy tool to have. Now I know some people, it does take up some room. It is kind of a pain in the butt to deal with that thing on the boat all the time. But the one time you got to use it for its intended purpose, it's all worth it. So
yeah, I know what I do with mine. Like once I'm out on the water to get it out of the way, and I can't transport it like this, but I've got my big 4-inch stainless ring. I'll just take that ring and hang it on one of my rod holders that I have down the side of the boat that I use like for suspending whatever, and I'll actually let that ball hang just off the side of the boat. It's not touching the water, but it's just hanging on the outside of the boat over my gunnel. It keeps it out of the floor. It gives you a little floor space back.
That's a great tip right there.
Yeah, I actually saw that in one of Chris Souter's videos. I noticed that's what he does when he's out in the river. I'm like, I need to start doing that too.
So it sounds like I haven't been able to keep up with much fishing or news, especially over the weekend. It looks like the James River stands saying that they've got a lot of water down there, and that next few days the big fish will be on fire with the extra flow. We are. Our river came up like a foot, and I think it's already gone back down. So we haven't really had a whole lot of flow.
Yeah, we're not going to even see that down there. Ours is it's low, it's slow. It's going to scatter my fish out some, but because the water's so hot, that makes my hydro pretty good because it's a little bit cooler, more aerated water coming out of that hydro. Something to keep in mind for you guys who are dealing with really, really hot water, really high water temperatures. Those dams tend to be a little cooler because they're aerating that water.
Well, two different reasons. They're aerating the water, and the water is coming from the bottom of the riverbed or the lake. If you're fishing reservoirs,
that's right.
They're coming from the bottom. So that is colder water. And so the dam is going to be a little bit cooler than the rest of the flow. Bank is in here and says, make sure you have something that floats tied to the end of the rope so that when you come back to your rope, it doesn't get in your prop. And that is a great tip to have there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't have to be much to keep the tip of it floating, but make sure you got something on the end there to keep it.
Yep. That's why I believe in my anchor rope bag, because I can all my ropes in there, clip the top. I actually clip it to my buoy ball and just throw the whole thing overboard. The rope's contained, it's right there, it's good to go.
Yep, that's that I gotta get me one of those bags. Right now, I use a milk crate. I got all my anchor rope stored in a milk crate. It works all right. But I don't think I have any. I have the end tied so that the anchor ball could not come off the end if something like that would happen. But I don't have anything flotation on the end of it to keep it up from a prop. So I think I appreciate that. I've got floats here. I'll tie a float onto the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that is.
More pigs in the house. What's up, Bill Hopper? Thank you for stopping in. I can't remember if you had more on your drawing there or not. I kind of cut you off.
No. I just wanted to show that little, it's a very specific example, but that's what I wanted to show about those gaps and those current seams kind of crashing together. I know it took me a while to figure that out for myself. So I figure I might save somebody the aggravation that I went through.
Parker already followed that up, says we'll be open house for Creole's finger paintings at the house. Crawfish Boil bidding for paintings will start at 7 p.m.
Hey, the paintings get really good once I have a couple of beverages in me. I'm just saying. I'll finger paint you a family portrait at that time. You might not want to hang it on your wall, but I'm just saying.
There you go. Yeah. So anybody else got any questions? We could go on to another big piece of structure, but that would tie up another hour. And
part two.
Or
ready for part 2. We're gonna make a part 2 out of this.
We can make a part 2 out of this. We still got other things to talk about.
Absolutely.
Of course, any of these shows are generated by ideas either through comments and chat, messages that we get, or just us sitting on the toilet and thinking, hey, what about this?
Yeah, that, or in my specific case, waiting on dump trucks to show up again, like waiting on my trucks to show back up. And I'll start thinking, I'm like, man, what can we talk about? Free time. Yeah, that's what free time will do for you.
Yeah, that's it. So if you guys ever got questions or show ideas that you'd like to see us take a crack at, don't be afraid to throw the ideas out there or send us a message. We'll try to put you something together. Oh,
yeah. Horrifying comment of the night. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry wins.
Yeah, Jerry wins. He always wins that battle. Ay.
Thanks, Harley, for the kind words, brother. Hope you're doing good.
Yep.
Long time no see. Buckeye, I can't remember. I think somebody did try to buy one of Chris Souter's drawings. If you guys remember back on Tackle Talk Tuesdays back in the day, he used to bust out the great big the easel and
he had him a whiteboard and
I
loved it.
He may have been the originator on that one. I don't know, but yeah, people wanted to get their hands on some of it.
I remember I watched that show back before Creole catfishing even existed. I was just Jeremy on YouTube back then, but man, I soaked up everything that dude had to say. Let me tell you.
I do that every now and then. I'll go back and watch some old stuff that he put out and or some live streams, and I'll be like looking at the questions I asked years ago. I'm like, well, that's how we learn. That's how we get where we are now. You got to ask questions. I know that we get a lot of questions in here. I know Becca's been asking a lot of questions tonight, and but that's how you get the information. None of us know any of this starting out. We got to learn it.
Yeah, and if you don't know something, it doesn't matter how simple you think it is, or maybe you feel that, man, I don't know, that seems like a dumb question. I don't want to ask, because I guarantee you, no matter how simple the question may seem, I bet there's 10 other people in chat that are wondering the same thing. They just didn't want to speak up.
You're 100% right. Richard says, summertime, are sandbars and sand flats worth looking at? Daytime main channel. So if you're talking about summer, I during the daytime, I don't think so. Not really. Nighttime, absolutely. Wintertime, daytime, absolutely. Nighttime, not really. So it goes, for me, it goes completely opposite with the weather. And the reason for that is in the cold weather, your sand flats and sandbars are going to heat up first. So fish are going to seek that warmer water in cold water conditions. But in the summer, that's going to be opposite. It's going to be really hot water. They're not going to want to be up in that until nighttime. Your bait fish will be up there and they will be hunting them shallow flats. So good question. That's my 2 cents. Jeremy, you got a different answer for that one?
No, I agree 100%. You know me, I'm not a shallow water guy to start off with. Usually what I'm targeting is if I can find me a deep scour hole right next to one of these big, because if you got a big sandbar, you got a hole somewhere. That sand had to come from somewhere. There's a hole right there somewhere, probably just upstream of it. But yes, still they're relating to that sandbar to feed. I personally, I like catching them at home. We're in the bottom of that hole. But yeah, it still all has to do with feeding on them slats. Absolutely.
Becca was asking about that that bag you were talking about that keeps all your anchor rope and everything in.
Yeah, the one I wish I could go out and grab it real quick. It would take too long, but it's literally a mesh bag. Mine happens to hold 300 feet of 5/8 anchor rope, barely, but it holds it, and it's got buckles where you can close it up, and it's got a big ring on it. Not only can you clip like a carabiner to it, you can also pass your anchor rope through it and tie it off, and it secures it to the rope. But yeah, it's an anchor rope bag, a pretty specific thing. I found mine on Amazon. But yeah, that's what I got for mine. I love it.
Yeah, I've seen you show the example of that. It's a lot safer, smarter idea than what most of us are doing. Now,
it's a little more trouble to store the rope. I will say that it's a little more effort to, let's say, at the end of the day, you got to, all right, I got to put the rope back in this thing, but it's worth it in the end with the trouble it saves you.
Kentucky Redneck says, now I got to drive 300 miles to fish a wing dike.
Wow.
Warpig says, deep cold water time. Yeah, we got a big shad hatch going on right now, man. Oh, my goodness. We throw the cast net, and you'll catch a million about the size of your – ask anything. What color are blue catfish? There you go.
Right there. That's what color they are right there.
Look at that. That fish, right, that fish was so happy to come see Jeremy in coming through the wall just to be part of the show.
He's excited. See, my wife has named it. That's our new show mascot. His name is Villain. Dad's laughing right now because he understood what I just said. Yeah, but his name is Villain, which is French for ugly.
Mr. Merlot's in the house. Thanks, brother, for being here. Also, do not know blue catfish, Uncle Jeep. Hey, that's the thing is, there are parts of the country that really don't have blue cats. Yeah. We're pretty fortunate here. We've got blue cats, flatheads, and channels. We can catch them all. But you get to areas that don't really have that population or the opportunity.
That's true.
We kind of take it for granted. Big Mike says billions of fry here too. Yeah, it's crazy. Just giant black clouds. We went out to try to catch some bait the other morning, and there's giant clouds, and the fish are just smashing them. I mean, just nonstop. Like, holy crap. Will there be any left? They're just the predators are just destroying them. It's awesome.
Mother Nature at work.
But that's a good thing. When you see that kind of shad hatch and you see that you got billions of fry in the water and that they're reproducing, that's sustainability for your your entire chain of your food chain of fish, from your bait fish all the way up to your trophies. So while it is a pain in the butt to fish when there's we got some lightning like right outside the door.
Come on now.
Jeez. Maybe it scared me. I forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, it's a pain in the butt to fish when there's that much bait in the water. But it's part of the
it is.
It's part of the problem.
I like aggressive cuts in those situations. Like that's when I'll break out like the flappers and just the crazy nasty cuts just to really just make that piece of bait stand out. That's a theory. Worked pretty well for me, but that's my 2 cents.
Let's see. Becca says, I know you gave the reason about fishing below the wing dike for current, etc., but is there a backflow on the upside, and do the fish congregate there? So
at certain times, that's more of a hit or miss situation. In fact, Jerry could give you some information on when that front side little eddy is good and when it's not. But when you're fishing that forward tip of that scour hole, right off tip of that wing dam, that's going to be your if one fish is there, that's probably where he's going to be. That spot is going to be good 90% of the time versus everything else. The odds are in your favor.
Yeah, Mike says it makes it easier to find a catfish bait. Yeah, as Parker says, the moon eye and skipjack are feasting on it right now.
Yep, absolutely.
So, yeah, Danny, just the fry that we're talking about, we're talking like these things ain't even as big as your
like little
fingernail,
little bitty. Yeah, little bitty.
Yeah, but caught some really big fish on 3-inch shad, and there's no secret, man, that elephants eat peanuts.
They do.
But I'm honestly, I'm just more comfortable when I'm targeting monster fish. I like to throw monster bait. I mean, if I can get away with cutting the tail off a whole skipjack, double hooking him and throwing him out, that's my heart's pumping.
Yep. You're not attracting the big ones. You're eliminating the little ones.
That's right. That's it. Yeah. And while the small ones are fun to catch, and they have their place too. If I'm trophy hunting, but I'll be honest with you, like for the last 2 or 3 weeks here, live bluegill is the bait to have.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Guys out with moon eye, guys out with skipjack. We have fresh shad, chicken. A lot of times this time of year, chicken will even outproduce everything else. But I can tell you for the last 2 or 3 weeks in a straight now, it has been live bluegill. We have used more live bluegill in the last probably 3 weeks than we have the entire year. That's what we were doing before the show. I come sliding in, got a shower because we were out catching bluegill right before the show.
Hey, that's fun in itself. And I don't know what it is. There's something very satisfying about sticking a big old circle hood in a brim's back. I don't know what it is. There's just something very satisfying about doing that, about fishing with a big live brim.
You should have seen it. You would have been proud of me, buddy. We had some on the boat the other night when I was fishing with my brother that were like,
yeah,
you couldn't get your hands around them. They're so big. War Pig says creek chubs. Actually, I don't have any creek chubs around where I live. I used to trap them all the time, and they are really good bait. But I just kind of forgot about them because I don't really have a place to go get them right now. So, but yeah, chubs are really good.
I don't know if we have that or not. I don't know. I have no idea if we have those around here. I don't know.
Chubs. They're a good bait. I mean, some of them around here, I've caught creek chubs up to 12, 13 inches long. They're huge.
Wow.
But on average, probably 3 to 5 inches.
Yeah, I got you.
I hear you, but a 55 and a 43-pound blue on a baby shad is still not bad. Oh, yeah.
Not bad. It's not bad.
Oh, I know.
I agree.
Right here on the Ohio, fishing with Skip, we went back and watched this video probably 100 times now. Most of the views that video has got me and Skip watching it over and over again.
Yeah.
But, he caught that 65-pounder down here on a piece of shad that was the size of a quarter that he didn't even change out. It had already been out in the water, like washed out for like half an hour.
Wow.
And we moved spots and he threw it back out without changing it and catches a 65-pounder.
Hey, go figure.
Get with me. We'll go load up. All right.
Ooh.
Sounds good to me. I need to get my home bank tank set up. I ain't got my big tank set up here at home yet. I'm running a 275-gallon one of them square like chemical troughs.
Those totes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got the metal cage around it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I set up one of those usually for a bait tank, and I just haven't set it up yet this year. I need to get my butt in gear and get it done.
That's a whole other show right there.
We got a show about bait coming right up soon.
Yes, we will. I have to get with our guest and lock a date down, but we're going to have an awesome show coming up next few weeks about bait preservation, how to pick good bait from bad bait. He will give us some tips on how to catch them, where to find them. I promise you, it's going to be an awesome show from probably one of the top authorities, at least I know of, on how to do this. So
very good.
It'll be awesome.
It's very good. Very good topic. Mm-hmm. You could fill it up free tonight here. You could fill it. There you go.
Talk about your bait tank. Fill it up. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. It's pouring right here, too. The lightning out here is just crazy.
Oh, wow.
But, all right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and get it down out of here. I've got to get up, get rolling early. And I know Jeremy does, too.
Yep.
But another great show again tonight, guys. Thank you so much for the interaction and the questions. We'll continue on with this. I see one more question from Becca. Let me see what it says. This might sound silly, which it normally never does. But if you walk out on the wing dike, is there ever a danger of it washing through in certain spots, or do you have to watch for, or are they generally safe?
Your biggest danger with walking on a wing dam is two things. One, a loose rock, so you don't step on it and break an ankle. And two, snakes. If it's been out of the water for a long time, watch out for the snakes. That's my two dangers right there.
Yeah, the wing. If the wing dam is there or wing dike is there, it's withstood a lot of flow and a lot of problems.
Oh yeah,
you're not walking on something fragile.
No, so not at all.
So not a silly question at all. Like I said, there's probably 10 other people that were thinking the same thing. So ask away. Well, guys, we're going to cut it off right there and get on out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you here next Tuesday night. Next week, we got Kevin with Monster Catfishing talking about his big tournament coming up here for the tri-state area and traveling. I mean, this is a big money tournament, so you could pull people from all over the country. So we'll see you here next Tuesday night. Same cat time, same cat channel. Good night, everybody.
Bon pêcher, everybody.